What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my hands-on and first impressions video of the TCL 30XE 5G. So let's get started. Now, for full disclosure, I did actually buy this phone with my own money. However, about a month ago, TCL did send me the TCL 30 V5G to cover here on the channel. So if you do want to learn more about this device, then definitely make sure to check out all the content that I've already done about it. Now, about 2 months ago at the Consumer Electronics Show, I actually had a chance to get some early access to this device. So I not only saw this phone and had a chance to use it at TCL's booth on the show floor, but they also invited me up to their suite to get some video content of the phone as well. So if you are curious, I do also have that video up on the channel, and it's kind of a cool opportunity to see a behind the scenes look. But essentially, I'm expecting the TCL 30XE 5G to be a really popular device for 2 reasons. One, this phone is offered at both Metro by T-Mobile and T-Mobile. And 2, this device actually brings a lot to the table for a very affordable price. In fact, if you go on Metro by T-Mobile's website, you'll see that this device features a $199 MSRP, which is a pretty good deal in itself. But if you do switch in from another carrier, you could actually get this phone for free. So based on that, I'm definitely expecting them to sell quite a few of these. Now, before I show you a variety of different things about the phone, let's take a closer look and see what all we get here in the box. So here's the box. You can see there is the phone, TCL 30XE 5G. And then on the back of the box, we have a summary of some of the specifications of this device, but we'll be going over all of that throughout this video. So included is a quick start guide. We have a SIM card removal tool. We have a TCL branded wall adapter. And we have a USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. Now on this channel, I mainly cover smartphones from TCL. However, they've been making TVs for a much longer period of time. And when they started making smartphones, they took their experience with display technology and directly applied that here to their mobile devices. And from my experience of looking at the display on not only this phone, but their other devices, that reputation of great display technology certainly has been applied here as well. Now the display is 6.52 inches, it is an LCD display, and it does feature a 90 Hz refresh rate. So with that faster refresh rate, things are definitely going to appear a lot smoother here and more premium. Now one downside though with the display is that it is 720p. So I know I mentioned a second ago that it's really good, which is true, but keep in mind that it's not a full 1080p panel, but for a 720p display, this is about as good as it's going to get. Now we're getting a PPI here of 269 and a 20:9 aspect ratio. So this device does feature a more narrow but taller form factor, pretty consistent with most modern Android devices that have launched in the last few years. And you can see up front here that we do have a water drop notch for the front camera, and we also have a little bit of a thicker bottom bezel. But in general, I do like the whole design of this phone. It's certainly nothing too interesting or special or even unique for that matter, but at the same time, it does feature a practical design. Now that front-facing camera is 8 megapixels, and stay tuned for my full review of this device, as I'll be showing you a variety of different image samples from all the various cameras here. Now internally, with the TCL 30XE 5G, we're getting 64 gigabytes of storage, and out of that 64 gigs, 43 gigs is available to the user. Of course, since a chunk of that does have to go to the system software. Now this device also does support microSD card expansion, so if you do want to expand that storage and offload photos and videos, for example, then you can always add in a microSD card. But in general, for a lower end device like this, I would say that 64 gigs is actually a pretty generous amount of storage, especially since this phone also bundles in 5G connectivity, which is of course a premium feature in itself, even at this point in 2022. Now there is no wireless charging with the TCL 30XE 5G, but we do have a fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone. So let's give that a try right now. Very fast and responsive. One more time. So definitely very quick there, certainly very satisfied with that fingerprint sensor. Another awesome thing about this phone too is that it does have face unlock, so I do appreciate that we do have multiple methods here for accessing the phone. Now on the back of the device, we have a triple camera setup with a 13 megapixel main camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera to assist with portrait mode, and we have a 2 megapixel macro camera for close-up images. And portrait mode is not only on the rear camera, but also the front camera as well. Now here's how the main camera looks on the device. Then from here, we can go to this menu to access the super macro mode. And again, you can get very close up and have things be nice and crisp and clear. We can then exit out of there, go over to portrait mode, and get those nice blurred out backgrounds. And the same thing applies to the front-facing camera. So there we go, there's me right there. So we have a nice blurred out background here for portrait mode with the front-facing camera as well. And then if we want to take a standard selfie, we can easily do that as well. Now internally with this device, we're getting 4 GB of RAM and the MediaTek Dimensity 700 5G processor. So I did run a Geekbench 5 benchmark test with this phone, and here are the scores that I got from that test. So I got a single core score of 537 and a multi-core score of 1665. And honestly, for a phone that is being offered for free at the carriers, if you are moving in from another carrier that is, or even at full price, these are some really good scores for a device that's being offered at under $200. Now, of course, as I continue to use the phone, I'll get a better idea of the general performance of it, but in general, based on my experience and then also the scores, this phone really is powerful for a lower end budget device, which is a great thing to see. Now, video recording with the device maxes out at 1080p with the front and rear cameras, and we're getting a 4,500 milliamp hour internal battery that does support 18 watt fast charging. Now, unfortunately, with this device, there's no NFC. So if you do like to make mobile contactless payments using tap and go, then you can't do that, unfortunately, with this device, which is a bit disappointing. And then the software that we're getting here is Android 11. Now, Android 12 has been out now for quite a while, so I'm not sure when this phone is going to be getting Android 12. So hopefully soon, that'd be great. But in general, I'm actually a big fan of TCL's approach when it comes to Android, because they've essentially taken stock Android, but added in a bunch of awesome and useful features. Now stay tuned for my dedicated tips and tricks video for this phone, as I'll be showing you quite a few different things that you certainly will not want to miss out on. But for example, in the app drawer, you can go over here and you can sort the icons by the actual color of the icons, which is pretty cool. We even have other customizations here. You can choose by usage, you can choose by installation date. So anyway, that's just one example of many of the small modifications that TCL has incorporated onto this device to make stock Android even better. So I certainly wouldn't call it stock Android because it's not, but again, they've taken the best parts of stock Android, but then added in useful features. All the changes they have made here certainly are not gimmicky or changes just for the sake of changing things, which I definitely appreciate. But now that we've gone over a lot of the major features of the TCL 30 XE 5G, let's take a closer look at the hardware of the device. Now, I already talked quite a bit about the front panel here. We do have a water drop notch, which I'm not necessarily a huge fan of, but I can live with it. And then we do have a little bit of a thicker bottom bezel, but in general, we're getting a really nice display here, despite it being 720p. Now, taking a look at the left side of the phone, we have just the slot for the SIM card and micro SD card. Then on the right side of the phone, we have volume up, volume down, and then also the power button. Then up top here, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack and the microphone. Then on the bottom of the phone, we have the speaker, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and we have the microphone. And then on the back of the device, we have the camera module with the flash, fingerprint sensor, and that's pretty much it. We do have a TCL logo in the corner, but that's pretty much all we're getting here. So in general, this phone is relatively plain, certainly nothing too special or exciting about it, but most people do end up putting cases on their devices anyway. So if that is something that you're going to be doing with the TCL 30 XE 5G, then I suppose it doesn't really matter how boring the materials and design are as far as the back of the phone goes. Now the good thing is that the phone is at least sturdy and durable, and despite this being a lower end device, it certainly doesn't feel cheap. But this concludes my hands-on and first impressions video of the TCL 30 XE 5G. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. But this is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next one.